I'm going to hazard a guess that you are very familiar with the content calendar and have maybe even mapped out a whole month worth of content ideas and reels, etc. But if you're still not seeing the results that you want to see, it's because you mapped out a content calendar, not a content strategy. The truth is, if your content is not directly tied to your business goals, you're not only wasting your time, you're actually leaving money on the table. So today I'm going to show you what a real content strategy looks like and how it can completely shift the way that you do your content planning. And make sure you hang around to the end because this last tip in particular is one that a lot of people overlook and probably the most important one. Now, I got to start with painting a picture here because most business owners, they grab their favorite matcha, they sit down and put on something vibey on YouTube, they get a pretty planner, maybe Notion, digital calendar, whatever it is that you do, and you sit down for this relaxing content planning day. And you start by looking in the holidays and seeing what's coming up. You check the seasonal calendar, you go and see what's trending. Maybe you even audit your channels and you're like, well, I haven't posted on here recently, and you start filling out the calendar. Here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with that in particular. When I do content strategy for my clients, I actually do this as well, but I don't start from this place, and I would never recommend that you do either. While this kind of content has its place and it's totally necessary, at the end of the day, it's generic. It helps you stay visible, it helps you stay consistent, it helps you create that content that keeps you online. It is generic. It's not going to be memorable in any way. And if it's not tied to any of your offers or any goals that you may actually have, it's not going to move the needle forward. Instead, what we're really looking for is a balanced approach so that you have content that, yes, is seasonal and trendy and evergreen, but also tied towards your personal business and marketing goals. If you're mapping out your content based on whether it's pumpkin spice season or the holidays are coming up or whatever, you're leaving a massive gap in your content strategy. And bear with me a second here. I know I said the S word strategy, and that tends to scare a lot of people off. It tends to feel like this big, scary, overwhelming thing, like, oh, I got to plan this whole huge strategy. Why can't I just sit down and just post whatever? But listen, it doesn't have to be a big, scary thing. Strategy is just a fancy word for planning with intention. When you're going on vacation and you're planning your outfits, you're planning them based on what you're doing, where you're going, what the weather is, and you're being very purposeful and intentional in what you're picking out. Nobody calls that an outfit planning strategy, but that's exactly what you're doing. You're strategically planning what you're going to wear based on where you're going, what you're doing, and what the weather is. The same can be said for your social posts and all of your content online. It's not that we're going to reinvent the wheel here. We're just being strategic or being intentional, if you will, about what it is we're posting and why. If you reframe your thoughts as we're posting with a specific goal in mind, I guarantee you will see a big shift in your sales. Now, this doesn't have to be this big complicated thing. It just needs to be a shift in the way you're thinking about things. So instead of just posting when inspiration strikes or copying what somebody else is doing, or maybe even just making a random list that you're checking off, we're not going to do that anymore. Because when you only post when inspiration strikes or you copy somebody, it keeps you stuck in this loop, in this hamster wheel, if you will, of just going more and more and more without any results. So when I work with my clients one-on-one, we do evergreen stuff, we do trend stuff, we do seasonal stuff. But the first question I will always ask is, what are your business goals? Now, if you're not setting marketing goals for the season, you probably should be doing this in your business. And this is all very personal. I literally ask, are you launching anything? When are you launching? Maybe you're promoting something this month. Maybe you're promoting something else this quarter. Whatever your seasonal cadence is, you should have a seasonal cadence in mind and work backwards from there. So instead of opening up that blank calendar and looking for the holidays and looking for the seasons and paying attention to what's trending, open up your calendar first and mark down, when are you launching? When is your open cart and your closed cart date? What are you promoting during this season? Okay, maybe you closed a launch. What can we post in between? When you work backwards from there, your content is going to be more strategic, purposeful, intentional, and supporting your goals in your business. Some people do this monthly, some people do this quarterly, some people do it seasonally. Whatever ebbs and flows, you will know best for your business. Either way, the goal is to keep it really laser focused and tied towards what it is that you're pushing that month or that season. Scattered promotions are going to lead to scattered results. And when you're posting without intention, you're literally just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that something sticks. You're also going to want to zero in on what it is that you're promoting. I see time and time again that people want to send someone to their website or they want to send them to their newsletter. But again, it's not laser focused. Once you land on the website, there's like 10 offers there, or there's 5 different lead magnets, or just access this library with an overwhelming amount of things. And it's not laser focused on one specific person and one specific problem. And I'm not saying that you have to ignore all these other things. It's just try to carve out a specific time when your one goal is just the one thing, rather than spreading yourself thin and talking about everything at once. Now, the timeline piece is also really, really critical, because too often I see people who are completely silent on social or on their blog or YouTube or whatever, and then they're launching something and it's email after email after email after email. And you don't want to do that, right? You want to make sure that your audience is plenty warmed up and that you're engaging with them plenty of time before you're launching or selling or opening doors to whatever it is that you have. You need plenty of space to plant the seeds in the back of their heads, to try and nurture them, to help overcome objections before they become somebody who's ready to buy from you. Working backwards from your open cart date or your launch date is really going to help warm up your audience, so you're not just throwing something at them out of nowhere. Now, this one is really important and something that people don't think about when they're putting together a content strategy, and that is to step into your audience's mindset and answer the question of what it is that they need to know before they're ready to buy. This can sound a little bit more complicated than it is, but think about it this way. People are not always ready to buy, right? Sometimes you have window shoppers. Sometimes you have somebody that's actively looking for a solution. Sometimes you have someone who doesn't even know that they have a problem, or they don't know what the solution is, right? You've got all sorts of people that are shopping or not shopping, and you need to be able to speak to all of them and meet them where they're at on their journey. Your job is really to bridge the gap between where they are, and then that leads them and funnels them into your content as the solution. I'm going to be breaking this down even more in future videos, so make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already so you don't miss that. But in the meantime, I'll give you a quick little mini breakdown that you can keep in mind when you're creating content. When you are trying to reach a person, they're all not going to be in the same place on their journey. You're going to have someone who maybe is aware of their problem. Let's say that this person wants to lose weight and they're stuck, right? So what kind of problems does this person have? Well, they might entertain the idea of a fitness coach. They might entertain the idea of weight loss drugs. They might entertain the idea of meal planning, right? There's all different kinds of solutions, but they're not even shopping for any of that yet at this stage. Then they would be maybe aware of the solution. Like, okay, I definitely need a fitness coach. I don't need a meal planner. I need someone who's going to help me with that accountability. Those are two different stages, and those are two totally different services. So that's why it's so important to serve them where they're at. Now this person knows I specifically want a fitness coach who's going to get me in gear and who's going to nag me to get to the gym because that's what I need. Another phase may be when they're shopping actively looking for this person. Maybe they're ready to buy, but then they are comparing people. So whatever it is, you're going to want to create all those types of content to meet people where they're at on their shopping journey. And either way, it's moving them closer to that sale. This is really the secret sauce here. And it's why strategic content is a layered approach and it's not just throwing any kind of trendy seasonal content out willy-nilly. It's very intentional and it'll help you move closer to your goals. Now I want to give you one specific action step to take away from this video. Take a look at your next 30 days and ask, what am I selling and what's one piece of content that I could create to support that? Maybe that's an email, maybe that's a reel, maybe that's a new blog post, whatever it is. That's one action step that you can take right now. Now, if this is resonating with you and you create blog content specifically, then you'll definitely want to check out my blog template kit, and I'll have all the details linked in the description box below. But this is a hybrid mini course / templates that will help you blog faster and more intentionally, because it guides you through what type of post to pick based on your goals, which is a lot about what we've been talking about today, right? Being more intentional and not just choosing things willy-nilly, but aligning them with our goals. So if you're not wanting to publish just a post anymore and actually do so with intention, then definitely check that out in the description box below. So once we make a strategic shift like this with our content, you know what happens? This is where the magic happens. You will stop second guessing yourself on what to post, because you're going to really know, okay, I've got my evergreen, I've got my holiday, I've got my seasonal, I've got my goals and my business. You're going to have your content calendar completely filled out. You're going to stop wasting your time on fluff content that you probably hate and that doesn't convert anyways. And you're going to finally start seeing your content work for you and your business, and the efforts will finally be paying off. Because the truth is, you don't need to post more, and you don't need a bigger content calendar, and you don't need to be on every social media thing that there is. You just have to get crystal clear on your messaging and your strategy. This is when your content becomes a tool and not just another task on your to-do list. Now, one thing I will say is that even when creators dial this in, one myth in particular holds them back, and it's the idea idea that more is more and that you got to kill yourself posting so much content to get any visibility or to gain any traction online. And that's just not true. This is also what keeps people so stuck on the content hamster wheel. So in this next video playing on your screen right now, I'm breaking down exactly how to stay consistent, strategic, and relevant without being chained to a never-ending posting schedule. Keep watching. I'll see you over there next.